are, guys. We're back again. Now today I went to another lake that I've caught a lot of big fish on in the past. Matter of fact, you've seen my one of my best videos that I've done in terms of the live fishing was the Alabama rig in shallow water. Well, we're back at that lake today. One thing about the lake is it's about 3 foot low. So later on in the show, I'm going to show you some tips how to adjust your quick draw contours to match those depths, that make sure that your map display, which I'll show you right here, is accurate. And it's very hard for it to be perfectly accurate, but you can help it by adjusting your quick draw contours and having them line up perfectly as can be. That way you can have accurate depths. Now, one thing that we're going to say today is I'm out here and I'm going after big fish. I'm not out here for little fish. I'm going after a big fish. So I may not catch anything, but it'll still be a very interesting show with a lot of tips and pointers. So I'm pretty much primarily using 3 baits. I'm using a big A-rig. Well, not a big A-rig, using the smaller A-rig around the trees. The water's a little bit stained, so I'm going to use more of a, and it's a sunny day, so a little bit brighter color like a white ice or a pearl type swim bait. Secondly, I'll be throwing one of my custom GG, and matter of fact, the swim baits on there, I make those also. And then I'm going to be kind of throwing my custom GG 6-inch swim baits in Sexy Shad. And then thirdly, I do have a mag draft on there just because I like the way mag drafts swim. Not gonna tell you that one bait's not a great bait when it's literally the best selling swim bait in the history of swim baits. It's an amazing bait, and if it all doesn't go well, we'll go try to find some crappie too. But guys, stay with me, stay tuned. Let's get going. Let's see if we can catch a big one, because we're going after one fish, and when you go after one fish, sometimes those odds are not in the best for you. Now, another thing that I want to note before we get going is I'm choosing perspective mode today. And the reason is I'm using a big slow swim bait, slow A-rig. The depth is not as important around these trees as making sure I'm around trees that have the fish, or making sure I'm ready when I see a fish that may be trailing the bait. I can make that additional cast and get in there and catch it, because if sometimes a fish will follow, say, an A-rig, and then you throw the swim bait back in there, trying to keep the sun right, and catch the fish, and vice versa. So I'm going to use the perspective mode today. Pay attention to the angle that we have. That way it's we're going to try to keep it higher up in the water column, because we're going to want to try to see our baits coming through the water as best as possible, but mostly wanting to see those fish. So let's get it. All right, guys. One of the things that I am big on when throwing swim baits in particular, because a lot of fish will nip at the bait and not get it, is that I like to apply a scent. Now, you can put on Berkeley power bait. I've used this a lot in the past, and I love it. It's a great bait. But with the invention of live sonar, and these baits, no matter how big the profile, they don't show up as good in the water. Now, one of the things that I've done is I've got some of the new bass bait pop, and I like to take it and I will smear it on there to help. Now, it has the original fish formula in it, which is a proven thing, just proven success rate over the years. But in the hook slot right there, I will actually take it and open the hook slot up and squeeze some in the hook slot. Now, what that does is that keeps the application on the bait a little longer. Now, I'm throwing the Beast. This is an 8-aught Beast hook. And what I have done is I have added a trailer hook that is a Stinger trailer hook. And then I secure it with a earring back that you can find at any arts and crafts stores and things like that where you make earrings. They'll come for like $1,000 for like $6. But I put that on there, and that provides, when the fish bites it, he doesn't have that huge taste of rubber in his mouth, and sometimes they'll come back and strike it again. So that's kind of a tip for you, using the bait pop, the Beast hook, the Stinger treble, and of course the GG custom swim baits, baby. And I've actually infused a lot of my baits with the bait pop. Now, what that does is that kind of eliminates the fish formula aspect of it, but it increases the visibility on the camera screen or on the Livescope screen. So you'll see that in some of the videos, just how easily the bait shows up coming back through the water. So Livescope positioning in positioning in perspective mode. I'm using bait pop, which helps it a lot, and then I'm also using the bait pop for the scent aspect of it also. So let's go. All right, when I got to the lake, I noticed it was very low, and I had made some quick draw maps. Well, I noticed that my depth where I was sitting definitely did not match my quick draw contours. So I went in there, and I'm going to change the depth readings, and it'll calibrate it to what the actual depth is. And you just go into quick draw contours, go into their settings right there. And what we're doing here, and I messed up, I'm not going to do it. I added 3 feet instead of taking it 3 feet away, but I will show you how it changes. Now, do you see it change from red to orange? Orange is my 5 to 10 foot depth zone. And I still notice, I'm like, whoa, that's way wrong, but it's easily changeable. You notice I'm only in 0.9 feet right here. Normally I would be in about 4 foot of water. So I'm going to go back into the quick draw contours, go into settings right here, and then you go into user display offset. Now the user display offset offsets the map to match up with what you're doing. So what I did is I went back and I took 3 feet off. Now notice everything is real red, and the areas that are white, that are spots in the lake that I have recorded that are now dry. And you'll notice that right now it says I'm sitting in about 1 foot of water according to the map, the display lines or the contour lines, and it also says I'm sitting in about 1 foot of water also on my actual depth reading. So this is a very, very handy tool to have when making quick draw contour maps. I love it. There it is. Oh man. The GG custom swim bait. Oh yeah. Beautiful fish. Let's let it go. We're going to talk about a few things here. The GG custom swim bait, that's number one. But we're using a beast, the big owner beast hook with a treble hook. That one actually caught on the big hook at the top, so he hit it well. You come off a stump there, it actually will be able to see that on Livescope. Well, I'm hoping. I really wasn't looking at the Livescope at the time. I was concentrating on the bait. So that tells you right there, I don't always look at the Livescope. But I've got the bait pop on there. This is the sexy shad color that I make with a pearl bottom, a chartreuse bloodline, and a pearl smoke back. And we hadn't been fishing 15 minutes, and we done caught a nice one. So let's go. As my little boy would say, let's go. All right, yeah, so we just caught a fish with one of the 6-inch Handpoured swim baits. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go through the process that I use, and there are so many different processes. World's Worst Fishing is one of the best, but we're gonna go through the process of how I pour my 6-inch hand pour swim baits. Now, one of the things that I've done is I've figured out a trick to put a shad dot on. I see a lot of people try to pour a shad dot. Me, I tried it, man. I would make these globs of stuff, but I found like a ear medicine dropper type deal, and you just suck up a little black, and you can put the perfect shad dots on your baits. But the first thing you do before you do any of that is you need to warm up the mold. So what I do is I keep a lot of the old hockey pucks of plastic laying around, and I will pour 1 or 2 swim baits to heat that mold up and get it warmed up to the temperature. So let's go, let's take a look at this. This is really fun. I have a good time doing it. So I hope you enjoy, and this is also what I caught the fish in the video. So the one thing about it was when you go big fishing, sometimes you don't get a lot of bites, and they just weren't on. The water was down real low. I really thought I'd do well, but didn't work out that way. But guys, let's go. All right, the first step to making a shad dot is knowing where you like to put it. Now, on each of these right here, there is a gill plate. And what I like to do is put the dot straight on the gill plate. Now, one of the techniques that I have learned is taking an old medicine dropper and taking the plastic. And this is some old black plastic that I had made up for frogs and things like that. And get that real hot. Let's see how hot that is. Let's see how hot it is. That is 340 degrees, perfect temperature. Now I take it and I squeeze it down in there. And I suck me up some plastic. Got that one. And I got that one. So we'll set that aside because I have spilled some. But if you'll take a look, now we have our shad dot in place. We let it cool for just a few seconds. It won't come off. Just be easy. And you'll go ahead, close your mold. And one thing about angling AI molds that I like is you don't have to use clamps. They come with screws in place. Now that we've got it, our shad dot poured, now we'll take our plastic, which we have already warmed up right here. We'll check it, and if it's about 300 degrees or more, we'll go ahead and pour it 300 degrees on the dot. Now, one thing that I will tell you about this that I have learned is you need a hot mold, and that's what this is. This is just some old plastic that I reuse over and over and over and over. I'll just pour me some, and then I'll put it back in here, and then I use this to heat the mold up. Now, you can use a griddle. I haven't got a griddle yet, but you can use a griddle. Now, the place that I think the best place to pour is right down there where the tail necks down, and it will help fill in evenly the whole mold. The tail will fill up, and then everything will start running to the front, because as it cools, the plastic will start contracting. So nice, even pour the whole time. And when you pour it in there, it just looks absolutely gorgeous when it gets through. Sorry for the silence, but I'm in concentration mode. Man, it looks so beautiful. What this is this is just clear plastic, and I'll show you what I've added to it when I get through. All right, it's clear plastic, and then what I add is, let me get this close to the camera, is Purple Smoke Pearl. And what that creates is like a lavender shad type, which is one of my favorite all-time baits. Norman had a lavender shad DD22 that I caught so many fish on, but I just love that purple hue in baits. I think it looks wonderful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let it cool, and then we'll turn the camera back on and show you what the finished product is, and then we'll actually put some eyes and things on it too. Let's see, we've got some eyes up here now. These are 10mm eyes. We'll put those on there. Those look really, really awesome on there. Show you the whole process to doing that. Looks really good. So hold on one second, let's let it cure, and then we'll go from there. All right, so what we're gonna do now is it's cured enough to go ahead and pull it out. We're gonna pull it out, and I'm gonna take a look at it. I think it's gonna be beautiful. Oh, look at there. What do you think about that? How's that look? That is gorgeous. It's got a purple tint to it. You can't see it here. This is more of a smoke, but when you get it in the sunshine, it has that purple hue, just like a bait fish has. Bait fish have that purple hue in them. And you get there to them and you see them in the sun and you're like, oh yeah, that is just like a shad. But we need to put some eyes on this thing. We need to get it out and put some eyes on it. Now, one thing that I would note is I made a solid body here. You can do one of two ways. You can put the hook slot in there with it, or you can make a solid body. I decided on this one to make a solid body because you can use it as a jig head. You can just take a knife and slit it and use it, you know, as the other way. You can make a, like you throw a big owner beast hook with the screw lock and the weight at the bottom and use it as a belly weighted hook. But what you do is you take this flash and you just trim it with a pair of scissors, and then you heat it. When you heat it with like this or a blowtorch or somewhere like that, and then that will smooth it out and make it real pretty. But so what I like to do is I put them down flat like this. As you can see, the shad dots on both sides, real pretty. Put it down, and then I'll take some Loctite super glue. This is the only super glue that I know that just does not clog up the tip after using it a lot. And I just take it and put one drop right in the middle. And then I'll take one of my eyes, and they're directional eyes. They have a fat part, like the pupil has a skinny part, and let's see if we can see it. This pupil has a skinny part, and I put the skinny part toward the back, like that. And then, if I can find my little dude, I always put a little bit of pressure on them. I can't find my little screwdriver. I just put a little pressure downward, just for a second to let it hold. I usually have a little bitty screwdriver that I use. I don't know what to do with it. And there's that. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the camera off and I'm gonna put the other eye on, trim this, and heat it, and then I will show you the finished product. All right, guys, we're back. Finished product. Here it is. It's got the beautiful eyes on it, kind of the fat part in the front, kind of slick back eyes. It's the purple pearl. It's smoke, but it's got the purple hue to it. This looks more like shad than anything to me. I know, you know, you do want to have the little small shad lines in there, and you can put them in there. But when you see a shad, you put it in that sun, it's got that hue to it, that purple hue. And this is the bait that I caught the fish on in the well, not the actual particular bait that I caught them on. This is actually for a guy that's bought some from me. So they look really, really good. They have a real beautiful look to them, and I'll tell you what, I'm really impressed with them. And the way they swim, they have a wobble, but they have a real tight action with the tail. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Really cool. But guys, I hope you enjoyed that. This is something we're going to be doing a lot of because I enjoy catching fish on baits that I made. So let's get back to it.